here on BBC Radio 3. We're broadcasting between 90 and 93 FM on digital radio and online. The time is 7 o'clock and a warm welcome to you from me, Ian Skelly, to breakfast here on BBC Radio 3. 3 hours of music to wake you to Sunday. I'm a broadcaster by trade. That's what I've been doing for 30 years, thereabouts. And for the past 15 or so of those years, I've been on national radio for the BBC. I have a great love of classical music, and years ago I decided to leave news and current affairs behind and go and start introducing programmes about classical music. So I spend a lot of my time in front of live microphones, introducing programmes full of music that I love. Well, don't forget that every night during the week here on Radio 3 you can hear a live concert. I also do a lot of work outside of the BBC, introducing music concerts and big corporate events, places like the Royal Albert Hall, so suddenly you're there in front of, 2,000 people. I rather like standing on stage and establishing quite an intimate relationship with an audience so that you can get them laughing, you can get them thinking, you can whip them up into a bit of a frenzy. It's great fun. Hello, choir. I think the choir wins. I've known the Prince of Wales for about 10 years, I suppose, and it began as a private conversation, a private correspondence. But then with my background as a broadcaster and as a writer, I began to help him to better articulate the detail of the principles that underpin the majority of the initiatives that he's put into practical action. So I began to help him writing his speeches, and then we wrote a series of lectures. One was a very big one for the BBC, and then that eventually evolved into this idea for the film and the book called Harmony.
We have lost something very precious, and that is an understanding of our interconnectedness with nature and a world beyond the material. We have become increasingly out of joint with the natural order. And there is order. Everything depends upon everything else. Nature is rooted in wholeness.
That's really the point. The reason the Prince wanted to call the book and the film Harmony is because that word derives from an ancient Greek word which originally meant to join things up. Nature is a joined up system. If you or I walk through a wood like this or watch a river, then we tend to see just one thing, whereas actually what you're looking at is a very complex, interrelated, harmonic system. Every one element within the system depends upon every other element. There is this extraordinary tendency at the heart of life towards a kind of balance, an equilibrium. And the Prince's main proposition is that because of our industrial approach to life, which is of course becoming increasingly comprehensive, we're ignoring the need for balance. And as a consequence, we're causing the equilibrium of the world a great deal of dis-ease. The whole idea of these talks and lectures is to effectively get the Prince of Wales on the road, to demonstrate the many initiatives that he's set in train, whether it be in farming or in the way that we build our urban environments, his championing of a certain kind of engineering, and also his thoughts about the way in which we approach economics on a global scale. All of these different areas of concern are driven by his understanding of the same set of principles. So in my talks and lectures, which involves a pretty fast-moving slide and moving picture show, what I try and demonstrate first of all is that there is this essential grammar of nature at work in the world, what the Prince of Wales calls the grammar of harmony. You see it in the stars above us, you also see it even on the petals of a flower, and you'll certainly see it in the patterns that make up our own DNA. So it's absolutely above and below, outside and within. But the really important reason for showing all of that is to demonstrate that if you mirror the way nature operates in all of those different disciplines, you tend to create approaches which are much more sustainable. And we need to adopt these approaches. We need to put nature back at the heart of things in the mainstream of our thinking, because if we don't understand the way nature works and sustain it, it cannot sustain us. Essentially, if we fail the earth, we fail humanity. So there is a very important and urgent message about this talk, and as best I can, with a great deal of energy and enthusiasm, I've tried to demonstrate not just the alarming problems that we're facing at the moment, but also some of the potential solutions which this thinking has already created and could create in the future.